Overnight, Donald Trump, and this is why people are maybe a bit timid to move, but overnight he has said, once again, if you tax or regulate American tech companies, we'll tariff you. Chloe, what do you say to Donald Trump?
I guess that this is more a question for us as Aotearoa New Zealand. Who do we want to be in this international landscape at the moment? Do we want to stand on our legacy of being principled and consistent? Because we don't get to, particularly in the context of everything else going on in the world at the moment, and obviously the United States of America's complicity in what is currently unfolding in Gaza with the genocide. Do we want to be principled and consistent and stand on our values as we have for the last 40-odd years? And that really is a question for this government.
Yeah. Nicole, what do you think? Would you risk, I mean, if regulating big tech came with a tariff price tag, would it be worth doing?
Well, President Trump will do what President Trump does, and that includes changing his mind on what he sees as significant and what he doesn't. This actually comes back to New Zealand and what we do here. What are our kids looking at? What are we allowing them to look at? And what sort of controls can we as parents put on our
1950s housewife here?
Children, because that's what it comes down to, Brian. I've got 4 kids. They don't live on social media. They were brought up in the outdoors. They go out there and they interact with people face to face. And that's what we need to get back to in New Zealand society. Get off our screens and start having human interaction again.
Yeah.
Again, Chewie, some people will hear that and go, yeah, get off those screens. Yeah, but I wrote this down, right? So what she's basically saying is have conversations with your kids, yada, yada, yada. Let's go back to your teenager at school with a smartphone. I've lost my phone. I was plugged in. Smartphone in their pocket. Let's just be realistic here. If I gave my 16-year-old a bag of lollies, and I said, put them in your pocket, and then I said, do not eat those today. Don't touch them. There would be some kids that would come home with an untouched bag of lollies. Most wouldn't. And if you have a look at what happens in the brain with the dopamine when it comes to social media and cell phones, exponentially harder for a teenager to not ingest that versus a lolly. So it's like you said, Chewie, actually, what she's saying on one level, you can kind of go, I like the idea of what that sounds like. In reality, I'm sorry, it's horse shit. And it's not the way to keep your kids safe. And I'll tell you something else, especially growing up in the Catholic Church. The kids that kind of get held back and say, you know, you will not do, as soon as they get some kind of freedom when they go to university and stuff, they're the ones that go furthest off the rails. Like, you know, just... I'm not casting aspersions on Nicole McKee's family. I don't know this, but so many kids that I've seen who have grown up in kind of probably more a religious setting than maybe a matriarchal, patriarchal that she's describing, as soon as those kids get the freedom, they just go fucking nuts, man. Some don't. Most do. Chewie?
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything, this is a more nuanced conversation than a politician wait and go, this is the cookie cutter answer to solve all of these problems.
Yeah.
When you're talking about social media and kids, this is the world that they exist in. You can't roll it back and go, well, we're just going to make it 1985 again. You can't. You can't get the toothpaste back in the tube. And if you just remove the thing that you see as a problem, you are creating a whole new problem. You're creating kids that don't know how to handle this, that don't think that they can reach out to their parental figures and say, hey, look, I made a mistake and I don't know how to get out of this. You know, and I think Nicole McKee just going, well, my kids turned out all right because I just let them run around in a paddock. Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked out for you.
Also
but
quite a privileged position because, You know, for example, I'm not saying, I don't know Nicole McKee's situation, but many parents in New Zealand don't have the capacity not to have their kids contactable by cell phone because they're working 2 jobs or they've got 2 working parents, or so there's an element of privilege which has just come with it as well, that her kids have a setup that they're able to have a 1950s styled, relaxed, chilled life. That's a real privilege. And I'm not saying it's not deserved, but it's a real privilege not to have a solo mum in South Dunedin, South Auckland, and parts of the country having to work 2 jobs, so the 10-year-old has to have a cell phone, because what if you're late for the pickup from school? You know, so we've got to be aware of that as well.
And yeah, okay, so you throw down to Meta and you say, hey, look, you've got to put an age gate on this because you're absolutely cooking children. And they go, okay, how do they verify it? They don't have a government ID. You know, technically speaking, Instagram has an age gate on it, which is why they chose a 13-year-old girl to mock up this experiment, right? But that 13-year-old girl could be 9. You know, because they just put their birthday as their 13. Like, it's stupid. I saw a story today that, you know, I think it was to do with Microsoft. But the Canadian government was looking into a breach of their trading laws around Microsoft's cloud services or something like that. And the US government has gone, well, Microsoft's an American company, so American law is preeminent in this, which is definitely a big jink away from how it usually works, which is the law of the country that this is happening in.
Of course.
Takes preeminence. So that could be a thing as well. Is like, we want to put a regulation on social media companies, and America goes, no, get fucked. They're operating under our law. You can't do shit. And then we're going to tariff you even more. Like, yeah,
Let me just say one other. I want to say one other thing as well about this. I hate this. I'm not like throw your hands in the air and wave them around like you just don't care. I've got a 16-year-old at the moment. I've got a 19-year-old at the moment. The 19-year-old had some real problems with the phone. The 16-year-old has as well. I hate this. I'm not like taking that privilege just and going, just do what we do. It'll be fine. It's really hard. It's really hard. But it's also unrealistic to kind of go, well, as long as my children climb trees, then they'll be fine. Like when my kids, I'll keep their privacy, who it actually is, but when my kids have had issues with phones to a point that they've needed a consequence and they've lost their phone for a day or 2 days or whatever it's been, do you know what they do, Chewie? They just go to school and they get on their friend's phone and they log into all their socials and they just do it at lunchtime and that sort of thing. And this is at a school where they ban phones at the school. They still do it. And you know what they also do is they take their laptops out to the thing, because they haven't banned laptops. So they take their laptops out to the quads with them and they get on during lunchtime and they just chat on their laptop. So it's hard. This is hard and I hate it. But I think it's naive to just kind of go, well, as long as they run around with some fresh air, that'll be fine. People who think that your kids aren't on devices and stuff and have no influence on it, you are the naive ones.